Hello guys, we're going to be reading the second chapter of The World According to Humphrey. We're going to have another person coming with us in a couple minutes. They'll be here. That is my dog, or the next door's dog, Roxy. Or no, I think we were in between we were in the middle of chapter 2, but I'm going to reread chapter 2 for y'all. I always go without that's because I've already read for 30 minutes. I'll see you in a minute. This is my papa, he's going to be joining, and here's Ginger. Oh no, I need to find it. Chapter 2, Nightlife. Life. For the rest of the day, I felt sad. You look sad, Humphrey, Gordon Miranda said when she was cleaning my cage right before lunch. According to the chart Miss Mag had left, it was her turn to take care of me. Thank goodness Miranda was the best cage cleaner and never said yuck. She put on throwaway gloves. She cleaned my potty corner, changed my bedding, gave me fresh water, and Ginger, why are you on the way? And finally, oh joy, gave me fresh grain, some lettuce, and mealworms. This will make you happy, she said, as she slipped me at the special treat she'd brought from home. Calorina flowers, natural. Miranda had good taste. I preferably staved it in my cheek pouch until it could store it in my sleeping house. Hamsters like to stash food for the future. After my cage was taken care of, I felt well enough to observe Miss Brisbane more carefully. Now Miss Mac was tall, wore bright blouses, short skirt, and high shoes. She wore bracelets that jangled. She spoke in a loud voice and waved her arms and walked all around the room. When she taught Miss Brisbane, on the other hand, was short with short gray hair. She wore dark clothes and flat shoes, and she didn't jingle at all. She spoke in a voice just loud enough to hear, and sat at her desk or stood at her chalkboard. When she taught, no wonder I was feeling drowsy at lunch. All that night's food and all that soft talking, is that all this hamster does, sleep? She asked at one point when she glanced over at me. Well, he's ternal, replied Raise Your Hand, Heldy Hopper. Raise Your Hand, Heldy, said Miss Brisbane. What's ternal? You know ternal, he sleeps during the day. It's nocturnal. I was wide awake now. Nocturnal, I squeaked. Hamsters are nocturnal. Oh, you mean nocturnal, said Miss Brisbane, almost as if she had understood me. She turned and wrote the word on the board. Can anybody else name an animal that's nocturnal? Owl, said Haley. Raise your hands, Heidi, said Miss Brisbane, but that is correct. An owl is nocturnal. Anyone else? I will shout it. My dad! Miss Brisbane looked around. Who said that? He did. A J. Girth Tugwell pointed at AJ. Both boys sat at the table nearest to my cage. What about your dad? Miss Brisbane asked. AJ squirmed in his seat. Well, my mom always says my dad is nocturnal because he stays up so late watching TV. Stop giggling, Gail and a few other students snickered. Miss Brisbane didn't crack a smile. Her use of the word is correct, she said, though technically humans are nocturnal any other. Eventually the class came up with more names of nocturnal animals like bats and coyotes and possums, and Miss Brisbane said that the class would be learning more about animals' habitats later in the year. If she just looked at me, she could learn a lot, but I noticed for the rest of the day, Miss Brisbane stayed far away from my cage, as if I had a disease or something. She read a mighty fine story to us in the afternoon. I thought, in fact, I couldn't get back to my nap afterwards. It was about a scary house and these scratching noises and a ghost. Thump, thump. The ghost came down the hall. Oh, I shivered and quivered. I have to say, Miss Brisbane, Miss Brisbane knows how to read a story. Her voice changed and her eyes got wider, and I forgot about her gray hair and her dark suit. To speak the truth, my fur was on the end. The story had funny ending because it turned out the ghost wasn't a ghost at all. He was an owl. At the end of the story, everybody laughed. Miss Brisbane. I was beginning to think that life with this new teacher wouldn't be so bad, but I changed my mind when the bell rang at the end of the day, and my classmates raced out the room, leaving me alone with her. She erased the chalkboard and gathered up papers. I could tell that we'd be going home soon. Suddenly, I began to worry. What if Miss Brisbane lived in a scary house with spooky noises and thumping ghosts? Or even worse, what if Miss Brisbane had a scary pet like a dog? My mind was racing as fast as I was spinning. My wheel. When she finally approached and looked down at me, frowning. Well, you're on your own now, she said. With that, she closed the blinds and walked away, but I heard her mutter rodent under her breath. She left the classroom and closed the door. She left me alone, all alone in room 26. I had never ever been alone before. As the room suddenly grew darker and quieter, I thought back to the happy times at Mrs. Mack's apartment. There were always cheery lights on and music and telephone talking and oh dear, during the day I never noticed how the clock on the wall ticked off the second went one by one, very loudly. Tick, tick. I was feeling sick, sick. I wonder if there were any owls around 26 or ghosts. I tried to pass the time by writing it in my notebook about pedorama and my days at Miss Mack's apartment. Writing took my mind off jittering nervously, but even truly, my writing paw began to ache, and I had to stop my scratching if only I could roam free as I had at Mrs. Mack's apartment. Then I remembered the lock that doesn't lock. If only took a few seconds to jiggle the door open. I skittered across the table, then gasping, the top of the table leg lightly. I closed my eyes and slid down to the ground. Ah, freedom! I dashed along the shining floor. I darted between the tables and chairs. I stopped to nibble a peanut under Stop Giggling Gal's chair. It tasted delicious and made the coolest crunching sound. I chewed and chomped and yawned and nibbled, and when I stopped, I heard the sound thump, 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 just like the story Miss Brisbane had read us. Thump, thump, thump. Closer and closer down the hall, coming towards room 26. The ratter, scratter, thump, thump, thump. Suddenly, I longed for the providing comfort of my cage. I dropped what was left of the peanut and scrambled back, but when I got to the table, I thought a terrible thought. I had slid down the smooth, shiny leg, straight but down, but how was I supposed to climb up again? I flung myself against the table leg and grabbed on and pushed up, but I had only made a little progress. When I began to go slide down, but I was right back where I started. The rattling got louder. The sounds were coming towards room 26. They were coming in room 26. Just then I noticed a long cord running down from the blinds. Without hesitating, I leaped up and grabbed it. The cord began swinging back and forth. My stomach ached, churned, and I wished I never touched that peanut. Whoosh! I slid across the table and scrambled into the cage as I pushed the door behind me. I was suddenly blinded by a light. Just then my eyes adjusted to the light, and I saw the thing. It was a man. Well, who have we here? A new student? A voice boomed. The man was smiling down at me. My, that was a lovely piece of fur across his upper lip. A nice black mustache. He bent down to peer at me. I'm Otto. Onmo? And who are you? I'm Humphrey, and you scared me half to death. I told him, but as always, all that came out was squeak, squeak, squeak. Otto squinted at my sign on my cage. Oh, your name is Humphrey. Hope I didn't scare you half to death, he said with a laugh. I've just come to clean the room. I come every night, but where have you been? He said. He rolled up a cart with a bucket and mopped and broomed and all kinds of bottles and rag on it. Oh, that's right, he replied, as if he were having a real conversation with me. He replied, Miss Brisbane came back today. She's a good teacher. You know, Humphrey, been teaching here a long time. Wish I'd had a good teacher like her. Say, do you like music, Humphrey? Squeak, squeak, squeak. I tried to tell him I loved almost as much as I love Miss Mac. Suddenly, a song blasted through the radio cart, and he set to work. Sweeping, mopping, moving dust, dusting, mopping. Oh, wait. He spun and swayed. He hopped and leaped. He twisted and twirled. How do you like the Flornet show? Otto asked me. He grasped the mop. Squeak! Thunderstood. Otto stood up and threw his trash into the plastic bag on the cart. Well, I've got a lot of other rooms to clean, my friend, but I'll be back tomorrow. Maybe I'll take my dinner break with you again. The light switched. Otto pushed his cart towards the door and reached for the light switch. No, 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 I squeaked, dreading. The thought of being plugged into the darkness again. Otto, stop. I hate to leave you in the dark, but if I don't turn off the light, I could lose my job. He clomped back across the floor to the window. Tell you what, I'll leave the blinds open a little. There's a little right outside your window. After he turned off the lights and I left, I chomped on my lettuce I'd saved in my basket. In the warm glow of the street light and my new friendship with Otto. Tip 2. Hamsters are not picky about their food and eat very little. Make sure to feed your pet a wide variety of tasty guide to the care of and feeding of hamsters. Dr. Avery H. Hammer. That was chapter 2. We are going to be doing chapter 2 tomorrow. The Two Faces of Miss Brisbane. Bye.